The female is expected to be silent. She's expected to be quiet. She goes through so much. I mean, silence is a virtue. So let's look at this. The female as a burden bearer. Look at this here, illustrated by Base Chigo. You see that woman there? She's carrying a heavy big basin on her head. That's a woman as burden bearer. On her back, she has a baby. She has a load. Look at the second one there. You have her riding her bicycle, and you have this woman. You have a baby on the side. Maybe I do drama, so I'm sure this will illustrate what I'm saying. So watch these two. This is what you're saying here. These people are returning from the farm. The man is ahead. He's carrying nothing. He's giving instructions to this woman to do. She is already tired. The woman is walking gently. So you're asking yourself, all he wants this man speed up. So I will get to your destination and the woman will attend to him. It is expected that while that is going on, so you strap your baby and you move to the kitchen and you're everywhere. And if you're an academic, a professional woman, where you're doing that, you're also writing papers, you are expected that you should move as every other person. Of course, if you don't write, it is published or perish. So, what do you do? This is the background. I laid the background to what culminated in the dismantling of power dichotomies, because I have said that power dynamics kept men and women separately. As Professor Secretary said, if feminism is a disease ideology, then patriarchy paved way for it. So we see these dichotomies because of this. So since social expectations are linked with opportunities available to the sexes, feminist scholars have given themselves the task of examining and confronting the binary structure that sustains male power and female powerlessness. It's binary structure because you're seeing power on one corner and powerlessness on the other. So as an ideology, feminism speaks about the freedom of woman to decide her own destiny, freedom from self-determining roles, freedom from society, society's oppression and restriction, freedom to express her thoughts fully and to convert them freely into action. Okay, so this has brought the trajectories of power into and their dynamics into interrogation. So because the issue is, why is she powerless? Why is he powerful? Why are the domains separate? Why must she be in the domestic space? These questions have affected and caused a major shift in the boundaries of power. And so we see that's why through the Shokola, I like to give us this quotation. She said, something that the wild wind is sweeping across our planet, and this time it is feminine. There is no doubt that a wind of change is blowing strong across our human landscape, and it is female. Now, this wind of change is female. The issue, therefore, is that this wind of change has shaken the boundaries of tradition. The shift that it has caused has also affected humanity's technology. So the female talent is now beginning to interrogate issues. Women are not just thinking of seeing themselves as mothers, as wives, as prostitutes. No, they are asking themselves, how do we expand the boundaries of discourse to bring women experience into the center? How do we make ourselves functional? How do we make our voices heard? Of course, things have resulted in diverse ways. They have radical positions that make for abstinence. So some say, well, let's use this sex difference and put a stamp upon intellectual discourse. Let's use sex difference and put a stamp in our position. So we have these different positions, radical feminists that works for abstinence. We have to say, well, we don't need men at all. We can live our lives. We can love ourselves sexually. And we can live our lives and forget about men. And I'm still thinking how possible that will be. What I think about that, I'll make known in my recommendation. So behind this presumed non-relevance of women's strength is the foundation and the basis for some of the problems that we have had. Therefore, the process of interrogating sexual difference by feminist scholars has subverted traditional boundaries of power. What we have is something different, women are questioning positions. So the politics of negotiating radicalism in African literature is, I show you in African literature in Bible hibiscus, where the woman had to eliminate her husband in order for the family to live. And someone will say, that woman is very wicked. And she's saying to herself, I need to protect the lives of these people. Is that right or wrong? The situations, we should look at the situations. We look at, see in below, in an American novel, we have this slave woman who escaped from slavery, and when she is caught with 2 children, she decides to kill her child so that she will not become a part of slave trade. She will not continue that tradition because she knows the things, the hazard that she has run into, she has gone through as a black woman. So radicalism has extended the boundaries of feminist scholarship to include other militant voices, whether lesbian feminists. It has, the French angle of feminism, the boundaries of this court have expanded on most of those you read in the work that I have. So the presumption is that female bonding for those that advocate lesbian feminism can be expanded because women love themselves naturally. When patriarchy is at work, it's expected that 2 women who are friends can gain strength from the other. When they say because of this strength, women can expand this to love themselves centrally. For me, and it's not acceptable, and that's what we see in the colloquium. However, this sexual revolution that we saw of the 1970s and 1980s, it wasn't the first time. We have always had these situations. I like you to see this also, the militancy in the sexual revolution. So let's watch this clip also.
Catherine! What is this thing that is shouting in the house? I don't know. I'm thinking. Yes, you are thinking. Just like the furniture right now. I am paying the rest. I say anything that goes. You need to. Is that why you keep talking with you more? Each time I leave the house. What is your problem, Catherine? You think that I'm lying to you? Or the one that you stopped by 2 years ago? You that man! Catherine, I have been on that. I'm feeling the family. You're here eating my money. I have been one. So very soon, for me, for the past 6 years. Not because I lost my job. 2 months, Catherine. 2 years, Catherine. 2 years. And God, treating giants to account their bones. Catherine, no problem. I don't want to. Catherine, you are going back to your mother's house. No, I'm not. You will go back to your mother's house. You are very happy.
Shift in boundaries. So, the emergence of the female, there is something oppression does. It moves people, not just moving to the center, it moves people to cross the boundaries. The man becomes a thing. And you watch, that helps to eliminate that. This shift in boundaries has done something to the fundamental structure of the society and is causing the shakings that we see in our homes, in wherever we find ourselves. There's something going on, this wind that is female. And my position is that something can be done to control the wind. However, the sexual revolution of the 1970s and the 80s, with the post-modern critique of tradition, is not the first instance. It wasn't the first instance in which women came to power. Let's look at the Judeo-Christian perspective. The story of Queen Esther. It saw a slave girl who came to prominence in a war that exterminated 75,800 persons among maids and patients. And remember, I was a slave girl. Saint Esther's sexual politics, the way she negotiated power and was able to defend her persons. And that's something that you could read in that text. Now, so we want to look at her sexual perspective. I mean, her levels of self-assertion she negotiated power. So we're looking at ways we can negotiate power without disrupting the fundamental structures of the society. And even, maybe let's go back to Macbeth. Macbeth as a character. Vice Chancellor said, I had said that Shakespeare consciously created the Macbeth at the time that Shakespeare knew that a woman could not climb the stage. And so he was taking Macbeth in class. We see Macbeth going into the chamber to kill Duncan, and he's so afraid. So he comes back, his hands are shaking, and we were drilled to enter into the room of the Macbeth. She walks to the back and said, in the fame of purpose, give me this dagger, for it's the eye of child of faith, repentant devil. If you do this, I feel the face of the Lord to that, and you must see your guilt. And then looking at the husband very disdainfully, she announced, I go and it is done. The bell invites me, hear not Duncan, for it's an air that summons you to heaven or to hell. That's done by women. So suggesting that society even knows when female power can be used and we choose what to do with. In the Arab world, Fatima Menisi takes us through the histories of women in a work titled The Forgotten Queens of Islam, in which she showed us what women did in Islam. But let me illustrate, because I'm taking an Afrocentric perspective to this discussion with Equal Women's War. We are very familiar with 2019. When we are discussing nationalism in Nigeria, we talk about Nnamdi Azikiwe, Awolowo, Ajagunpada. We do not even remember 1929, that illiterate women of Okobo division fought for our self-determinism. But maybe the most devastating thing is that action, that credible deeds of women in history have been taken over so. And it's kind of referred to as about women's rights. And I'd like to state Vice Chancellor and tell us here that even if a woman died in that war, she must have died because she was resident in Okobo division. That war was fought. I call it war because I have been to the site and I have seen the mass grave where those women were buried. They were fought by illiterate women. So the credible acts, the historical act of our women given credit to, and I think it's something we need to claim. And that's why I show women. So however, in the annals of history, this bravery is ignored. It's not discussed. It's as if it's not important. It's as if it's not a part of popular history. Society has a way of glossing over the credible things that women do. So the denial of our independence and the identity to the female accounts for why her voice has been muffled in history. I mean, because it is as if that she has no identity. Now, even when we get to that equal of women's war, most of the things I have read, the woman that coordinated that war is referred to in most works as a Odoma, meaning that that woman is important as the husband of Udo, and the husband of Udoma, and as the mother of Udo. So that means that we should rethink cultural boundaries. What do we need to rethink cultural boundaries? And this is my contribution to scholarship. As we look at Michael Bakhtin, in the process of my PhD thesis, I came across the theory called Dialogism by Michael Bakhtin. And in this theory, what we see that there are two voices in human existence. We have the authoritative voice, we have the internally persuasive voice. This authoritative voice is the language, speaks the language of fathers. And who are fathers? Feminist logicians equate this voice as a male voice, while the internally persuasive voice is equated with the female voice. And we are saying that these voices that are spoken, these voices define humanity. And so, for me, I have appropriated Bakhtin's theory to resolve gender crisis. And I will illustrate that with this. Let's look at this program. Let's look at this figure 5, what I call a dialogic practice. And I'm illustrating it with these people who are in law. You just see the fighting family, and you're now looking at a lovely family. This lovely family, if you look at figure 5, you have the man at the extreme, and you have the woman at this other extreme. Look at something is connecting them. They are moving towards each other in the center. That is the dialogic practice, what they are joining. Okay. So they are moving towards the center. And the point I'm making is, if we move at this point towards the center, now, if we move at this point towards the center, you look at this program, look at where you have the dialogic practice. And we call this dialogization. As the female begins to speak, the man moves from his strong position of power, the female moves from her strict position of powerlessness toward the center. And what we have here, we have multiple voices. That process is called dialogization. This is feminist dialogics. It is a place where man has power and refuses to use it. It is a place where the female refuses to be powerless, where she sees herself as a complete human being. And as they move towards the center, what is important to them in the contact zone is their essence as human. And that's my position. So, as I round up, I'll show to you that women have made incredible impact. And I'll show you in the work you see visible images of women and the roles they have made. These are women power models in Africa, and you can see we have them here. And you have portraits of women power models in Africa. You have, right here we have women power models in Africa. And see for the first woman to be vice chancellor, and the only up till now, the 6th substantive vice chancellor of the University of Imoh. And she left legacies behind. And we have a deputy governor, the first elected woman to become a deputy governor in 5 districts. Women power models. We have this in Britain. You can't forget her history in 70 years, the British crown, and you can't forget Margaret Thatcher, the iron lady of British politics. And you can see Kamala Harris in the history of the United States as democracy. She is the first woman and the first black. And Condoleezza Rice, you can also see her and who she is. So, when if you have, of course, indomitable Dora Kunji, and you know what she made out of Lambda, and Madam Sally Johnson, you can see that she brought the war in Liberia to an end through her brain. So, if women are in this position, the implication is that we don't need to compartmentalize boundaries. So we can see our common humanity. If we see our common humanity, and we move together through interaction, through dialogism, there is nothing that we cannot do. I have discovered a text in this, where a man decides not to use power to oppress, and where a woman decides not to see herself as a fickle-minded person. Therefore, what are my suggestions? What do I recommend? I recommend that in the process of this, I have proved the paradigms which sustain sex difference in order to link concepts of subject and subjectivities to epistemology, and in order for us to think culture and rename human experience. I recommend that sex difference is a biological phenomenon, it's not psychological. No sex is more important than the other because human essence in the male and female is the same. So, sex is genderless. And I was also know that in spite of all the atrocities committed in the name of sex, I have not in the process of research seen anything to replace responsible human relations that account for me that we see. Responsible, dignified human relation that is, which is heterosexual. There's no replacement, so I can't advocate lesbian feminism. I cannot advocate abstinence that we, even when we try to abstain, I think people don't really abstain. So the sexes should work together to complement each other. Sex is not the correct determinant of human attainment, and it should not be used to measure performance at any level. Now, governments and non-governmental organizations should be actively involved in the campaign against any kind of sexual exploitation. Appropriate sanctions should be presented. Women should make concerted effort to tell the female story and stay there, be committed to it, your government, let to understand the things that they have said. Now, the colonial relics in Ikoh, it should be converted into a tourist museum. I saw this in Colorado in a Fulbright moment, where a whole city is preserved for 2,000 years, and it becomes a tourist attraction. The relics that I saw were of Ikoh given to war can be a museum that will generate money for Ikoh local government and for authorities. I think the government should take that seriously. Black women, both Africa and diaspora, should adopt Afrocentric perspectives in a search for self-assertion, self-definition. We cannot remove values that are African, values that have kept us as human beings. We should not destroy our families in an attempt to assert, because when we destroy our families, we have nothing to depend upon. In doing this, we contributing to building a society where human essence is paramount, and individual actions are guided by love, not the genderized prescriptions occasioned by sex difference. Vice Chancellor. Thank you.
Please sit. On this note, please, may I invite the 100th inaugural lecturer, Professor Emenyi, to do formal presentation of the 100th lecture to the Vice Chancellor.
Vice Chancellor, it's my honor to present the University of
On this note, the University of Uyo, through the Vice Chancellor, shall as well make the formal presentation to the inaugural lecturer.
Our dear Professor Imoh Emenyi, truly I should praise myself, there's no doubt about that. And so that you remember these days, that you become so well, right interacting with the town and the ground. I present this to you on behalf of the university as you remember. Congratulations.
Professor Joseph O'Shea to make formal presentation.
Chairman of the Education of the Faculty of Arts. It is our pleasure to present our very illustrious 100th inaugural lecturer, Professor Imoh. The faculty is very proud. This document is an appreciation of our outing today.
So please make their presentation. Please take your seats. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to inform us at the end of an inaugural lecture like this, the only person that is reserved the right to speak at this lecture such as this is our Chief Executive Officer. On this note, may I invite the Vice Chancellor of our university, Professor Emenyi, for his comments.
Thank you very much. Before I proceed to make a comment or two, let me say that I limited the dean and invited the faculty to present or represented because she was able to manage her time. During the 1 hour we normally give, she has still had the opportunity. That was why I permitted, in case you know that you want to ask the question. Meaning that if you manage your time well, I allow you to accommodate certain things. I hope that is very clear. All right, let me thank God for what we have received, what we have heard today. I think the dialogue ended well. What is your opinion? Let's your hands together for the best lecturer. At the end of the call, my opinion is that it was a balanced presentation. Even though we had a opportunity of seeing how some women are you hearing me? We were told that Catherine, you must go back to your mother's house. And somebody said, in this house, you should have go back. Can you imagine that? You know? And then so if you forget it right, you don't forget that one. Don't also forget the fact that somebody was told, show me the bosom. Are you there? And I said, thank God, he didn't say, show me where you can go. You know, somebody used to say so. Then I show me where you can go, no problem. God is wonderful. Really, very, very wonderful. Well, having said that, it's not that about the fact that she has presented and made actionable recommendations. Yes. Recommendation in summary is that you and I should come together to pull down the economies. That's the message. Pull it down, take away the barricades, the pyramids, so that the girl child and the boy child can function together. I hope I'm right. So let's go ahead to that what's the name. So I want to admit and submit very clearly that Professor Imoh Emenyi is an asset to the university. In fact, she is someone that any system want to lure, but don't go out of the university. That's what I'm saying. Even though I'm saying so, don't stay here with us. All right, the inaugural lecture we all know is given a serious place in the university of Europe. That we see as Monday tonic. Meaning that we are likely to have one next month. And so when we have opportunity to come together as town and Ghana, we normally recognize the past inaugural lectures. I'm sure that sandwich seated somewhere here. If you know you have done the league, the sake of past inaugural lectures, and you are seated somewhere, anywhere, no matter your address, can you please rise and take a bow? Thank you very much. Take a bow once again and say, thank you. You are seen and see it. If one of those responsibility and obligation, you must charge. But you should discharge before you leave. So, they are sitting, they are free. They are paid all their dues. All right, I want to announce to us that the 101, you know, this one is 100. The content. Are you there? Yes. We are going to have 101 local lecture. And get who will present. I'm sure you know that. You don't know. Look at you here. Stand now. Okay, it's not there. It is Professor Amos F. Awode. That's right. Yeah, he's the one there. Take it back once again. Yes. He's going to follow with us next month, by God's grace. Follow for good. He is a professor of mathematics education. I don't want to know why they are saying so. Because some of us are something close to M9. So when they hear mathematics, I know something they have nothing to say so. But you will let that day. Alright, so he is on the Department of Science, Education or Faculty of Education of our great university. He was speaking on the topic, the acts of mathematics. Mathematics education. Sorry, the acts of mathematics education development, research and teaching. My journey so far. I don't know where the journey was started. They will know where you end. Next month by God's grace. So I want to thank all of us once again for always finding time to come around to share in the inaugural lecture. How we continue on learning one or two things and giving the inaugural lecture an opportunity to express himself or herself. So I'm using the opportunity to invite you for next month, the last Thursday of next month. We shall all gather again by God's grace, and I pray to God Almighty that this will not be the last time you see me or I will see you. So thank you very much for all that you have done. The rest will continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Another round of applause for the Vice Chancellor. Thank you very much. I must tell you a very big thank you. It's been this great because you are here. Please celebrate your neighbor on my behalf. Clap. You want to clap? You want to give high five of the greatest Nigerian students. Thank you very much. The Vice Chancellors are very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. This time I want to make recognitions of men and women of distinction and excellence who have made out time to grace this occasion. And please, if at the end your name is not mentioned, do not get angry. A very special to us. Thank you very much. I'd like to begin with the Chief Executive of this great organization and institution, himself a very proud alumnus of this great university, the very first to become the Vice Chancellor. I'm talking about the 100th inaugural lecture Vice Chancellor, himself Professor Yaudo Daide. Please celebrate our great Vice Chancellor. Thank you very much. The Vice Chancellor is not here alone. He's here with his able members of the management team. I'd like to acknowledge the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Administration, Professor Adekan of Young. Thank you, sir. My pleasure to acknowledge the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, Professor Antonia Essien. Thank you, Lord. I have the honor to acknowledge the Registrar and Secretary to Senate, ably represented by the Director of Council Affairs, Mrs. Fonobo Anthony. I'm pleased to acknowledge the Acting University Librarian, Dr. Mary Bassi. My pleasure to acknowledge the 100th inaugural lecturer, a woman beyond limits. Celebrate Professor Imoh. Thank you very much. My pleasure to acknowledge the able dean of the faculty. Please celebrate Professor Joseph Michelle. It's my pleasure to acknowledge the 100th inaugural lecturer presenter, Johnson. Thank you very much. The Vice Chancellor said, please permit me to acknowledge the esteemed presence of Her Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State, who is here ably represented by the dear husband, His Excellency Elder Etobo Eyayi. So welcome. Thank you very much, sir. My pleasure to acknowledge the Permanent Secretary, Office of the Deputy Governor, Akwa Ibom State, Dr. Mrs. Grace Jim. I'm the honor to acknowledge the State Commanders, NDLEA, Akwa Ibom State, Mrs. Obot Basin. Thank you very much, ma'am. Permit me also to acknowledge the Special Advisor to the Governor on Boundary Matters, Elder Kokon Ufi. Thank you, sir. We have here also Honorable Dr. Ventus Eden, former local government chairman, Uran. Thank you, sir. My pleasure to acknowledge a former Vice Chancellor of our great institution, in person of Professor Comfort Memphis Eko. Thank you now for coming. My pleasure to acknowledge the presence of a former Deputy Vice Chancellor Academy, Professor Joseph Obinaju, retired. Thank you, sir. I'm the honor to acknowledge the presence of Professor Inyang Udofo, former Deputy Vice Chancellor Academy, retired. Thank you very much. The business permits me to also acknowledge the presence of a former university librarian of our great university, Professor Felicia Layton. Thank you, ma'am. I have the honor to acknowledge the immediate past Deputy Vice Chancellor, Administration University of Uyo, Professor Enoide Usoro. Thank you, ma'am. Honor to acknowledge the presence of a former registrar of this great university, Elder John Udo. Thank you, sir. We have seen Dr. Ebere Ogorie, husband to the registrar, celebrating. Permit me also to acknowledge a former registrar of this great institution, Mrs. Ada Omonda. Thank you very much. Okay, please, I'm told that's the wife to Miss Elder John Udo. Madam, I'm sorry. Please, let's celebrate. Clap for Madam. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I'm not trying to separate what God is trying to do. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to acknowledge the presence of the Provost, College of Health Sciences, Professor Inogo Emenyi. Please celebrate her. Thank you very much. I've seen the Chairman Committee of Deans and Dean Faculty of Social Sciences, Professor Christopher Ego. And through him, please permit me to acknowledge all Deans of Faculties. Could you please rise for your recognitions? Deans of Faculties of State Dean of Education, Engineering, Pharmacy, Environmental Studies, Computing, Agri, Basic Medical Vocational. Thanks so very much. Please, a better applause for them. Let me acknowledge the presence of Dean of Postgraduate School. Okay, thank you very much, sir. And may I also acknowledge all members of Senate of our great university. Would you please rise, distinguished members of Senate, for your recognition. Please celebrate them. Ain't them looking wonderful? Thank you, and thanks so very much for always being there. Thank you very much. The Vice Chancellor, sir, please permit me to acknowledge the esteemed presence of the inaugural lecturers, Pastor, talking about the worldwide pastor of Insight Bible Church and members of that great church. A pleasure to acknowledge our dear pastor, Pastor Sylvanus, and Pastor Mrs. Erika Luganda. Please celebrate our pastor. Thank you. Thanks so much. Let me acknowledge the presence of Pastor Dr. Philomena Uma. Thank you very much, Mama, for coming. I celebrate all pastors from Inside Bible Church, see Pastor Mercy, Pastor Emenyi, and Pastor Sobi. You're welcome. Pastor Samuel Okoro, thank you, sir. Pastor Peter George, you're recognized. Pastor Mandu and Emil Davis, we celebrate you. Pastor Ibori Keme, you're welcome. Elder Mrs. Beatrice Doro, we celebrate you. Elder Mrs. Comfort, Elder Mrs. Zuba Budoite, Tutu numerous, and all the women of grace inside Bible Church, please celebrate them. Please celebrate the women of grace. Let me also acknowledge the presence of victorious women of a worldwide evangelistic campaign. Thank you very much. Thank you. Welcome. A pleasure to acknowledge the presence of the head of Senate Unit, Mr. Kingsley Achiko, the recognized sir. Permit me to acknowledge the Director of Community and Police Relations, Mr. Fonabasi Isaiah. Thank you, sir. A pleasure to acknowledge the presence of the Director of Information and Public Relations of our great university, Mr. Udoku. Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge the Director of Staff Training, Mrs. Faith Emmanuel. Thank you, madam. Let me acknowledge Uyo in Academics University of Uyo. Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am. Let me also acknowledge the presence of Right Reverend Prince Anton. Welcome, sir. Thank you very much. A pleasure to acknowledge the presence of Mr. and Mrs. Idi Asian. Thank you very much. Permit me to also acknowledge all the way from University of Uyo Teaching Hospital, Dr. Mary Joshua. Thank you very much. Permit me to acknowledge the Inaugural lecturer siblings. We have your Mrs. Ines Samuel Udall. Madam, you are recognized. Thank you. We have your Pastor Mrs. Enoch Greenhill. You're recognized, ma. Thank you. Let me acknowledge Evangelist and Mrs. Joe Budofia. Thank you very much. My pleasure to acknowledge ministers from Worldwide Evangelistic Association. Please, wherever you are, would you please rise for your recognition? Thank you very much. Let me acknowledge Pastor Mrs. Caris Isianobo. I am recognized from Restoration Grace. Thank you very much. This is it's my pleasure to recognize the inaugural lecturers in the family members, beginning with the children. I'd like to recognize Emenyi, Osunabasi Alban. Are you there? Thank you. My pleasure to recognize Dr. Onimabasi Emenyi. Let me acknowledge Ms. Mandre Emenyi. Permit me to acknowledge Abasi Odion Emenyi. And of course, the last but not least is the husband. Wow. So could you please rise? Thank you very much. So please remain standing. Please remain rise to really express your joy concerning this day. And that you have to look at first the Vice Chancellor and please take a bow. 1, 2, go. No, stand there, sir. If you see, would you please? Okay, 1, 2, go. A round of applause for you. Thank you. Please stand. No, sir, you're not in the time. Turn to members of the Senate. See them there. Please take a bow. Thank you very much. And last to the audience, the last bow. 1, 2, go. Thank you. And thanks so very much. Permit me also to acknowledge the presence of Commander, Prosecution, Legal, NDLEA, Akwa Ibom State, Oga Imoh, Deputy Commander. Thank you and thanks so very much. Of the greatest Nigerian students, celebrate you. Let's go and give your neighbor a high five. Celebrate that person on my behalf. Thank you and thanks so very much. The Vice Chancellor said, please having done in the session, permit me to invite. Oh, please, sorry, there's one more. General Eric Yu Ogawa, Anglican Diocese of Uyo. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Very distinguished audience. At this point, I please invite the Deputy Vice Chancellor and Emenyi for a vote of thanks, the DPC.
Mr. Vice Chancellor and Chairman of this occasion, Professor Inaugural, I want to ask for permission to stand on the protocol that have been established. Let me express a collective gratitude to God, because what has happened today has only been possible because of God Himself. God has done so well for our dear Professor Emenyi, the centenary inaugural lecturer. So we are most grateful to God. Mr. Vice Chancellor, I want to thank you so very much for your love of academy. You've done so well that the line of professors up for inaugural lecturer, I'm sure people will refer as if your time even when you have finished your term of office, because of all the promotions you have seen to me that is done. Thank you very much, sir, for encouraging me. Permit me, sir, to thank the principal officers, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, Professor Onyeka is here. The registrar is here represented. Thank you for coming. The acting university librarian is also here. We are very grateful that you are here. Let me please thank the inaugural lecturer herself, Professor Imoh Emenyi, centenary inaugural lecturer. Thank you very much for making us proud. Mr. Minister, I know after this, all the social constructs of the problems of the sexes will be a thing of the past. Thank you for teaching us so very well that we will take collective decision because of what we have heard today. We've heard that poverty is not the best, it's not good. Your lecture has dismantled all the power dichotomy as we have seen, even in the drama that has been presented to us. Thank you very much, Professor Imoh for what you have done today, because the enhancement of the gender is most of the time a social construct, and today we have learned how we do things well, negotiating power effectively, and also very importantly, rethinking some of the social and cultural boundaries that cause us problems. Mr. Business, let me thank the inaugural lecturer presenter, Professor Johnson. You will all agree with me that he deserves an award, because he does it so very well. Thank you very much, Professor Johnson, for doing what you know how to do well. Thank you very much. Let me also thank the Dean of the Faculty of my own team for always being there and supporting us at every time. Professor Joseph, thank you so very much for what you have done. Now at this moment, thank all the professors of this university, all those who have retired and all those who are still serving. They have done so very well at every time. So my dear professors, I say thank you for coming. I also want to thank all the members of Senate that are here for always blessing this occasion where we have inaugural lecture. It's so beautiful to have everybody around. I thank former Chancellor, Professor. Thank you very much. Let me also thank all the former Deputy Vice Chancellors of this university. Professor Joseph Obinaju is there. Thank you very much for coming. I thank the head of the Department of English and all the staff and students of the Department of English for standing by Professor Imoh and making this day such a beautiful one. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, please permit me to thank the best man on earth. We've been told about the best man on earth, and that is Mr. Emenyi. Thank you very much, sir. We thank you for making the home front conducive and peaceful for Professor Imoh to realize his potential. Thank you very much, sir. And I want to thank the 4 children that conducted yourself so well that your mother was able to concentrate in her academics. Thank you very much for being wonderful children. Let me thank everybody that has come, friends and family of Professor Imoh. I can see the permanent secretary of the Office of the Deputy Vice Chancellor herself, Dr. Mrs. Grace Fitching. I know her very well. Thank you very much for coming. I also thank the spouse of our dear Deputy Governor for being present here with us and all the friends that have come. Let me thank the clergymen and all the religious leaders that have come to grace today's occasion. Of course, Professor Imoh is one of you. So I thank you for supporting her in prayers for this day to be so graceful. And she has presented the lecture so very well. So thank you, men of God, men and women of God, for being here. I want to thank all the traditional rulers that have come both from Professor Imoh's community and others to grace this occasion. Thanks you very much. All of you that have come, friends of the University of Uyo, we are very deeply grateful to you. I thank the organizing committee. All that you've seen today wouldn't have been possible, but for the organizing committee that stood by our dear Professor Imoh to make today very great. So thank you so very much. Music departments, you've done so very well. I ask God to bless you because you know that music is the soul of life. Thank you very much for being there. Security men, we are grateful because you have kept this place so very good. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, I reserve the last time for very important group. Thank you, sir. I want to thank a very important group. Without them, even the Vice Chancellor will not be here. All of us will not be here. And these are all the greatest Nigerian students. Greatest Nigerian students. Thank you because we are here for you. Thank you very much. The Vice Chancellor has called my attention to a very important thing. Thank everybody, please, everybody that has come out today for this inaugural lecture. The Vice Chancellor is very deeply grateful. And we wish you God's choicest blessing as we go back home. Thank you very much.
The Vice Chancellor, sir, very distinguished members of the management, the Senate, and special guests at this 100th inaugural lecture of our university. It is true that whatsoever has a successful beginning must definitely secure a successful end. Please, as they wind down to this lecture, may I inform you that at the end of this lecture, there shall be a photo session at the entrance of this auditorium. Please make yourself available and be captured. On this note, please, may we rise. We shall take our songs of loyalty in reverse order, first beginning with the university anthem, thereafter the national anthem. The university anthem, please. It is my pleasure, therefore, to invite the senior pastor with Inside Bible Church, Pastor Salvadus Okafia, to say the closing benediction.
Shall we pray? Father, we thank you for this gathering. We give you praise for your daughter, whom it has pleased you to honor today. We thank you for everyone who has helped her this far. We want to particularly appreciate the Vice Chancellor and his team and every member of this community. Lord, we ask help.
Sorry.
Ya uno